Okay, wait. Let me do this again. Okay. Mm-hmm. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Bessie, it's your favorite caffeinated, medicated, and never hydrated Bessie. It's your favorite Nurse John, and welcome back to your favorite podcast. I beg your pardon. Do me a favor, wherever you're listening right now, do this with me. We're gonna do some self-love, self-awareness, self-praise because we need that. We gotta appreciate ourselves. So wherever you are, in your car, at home, at work, walking, doing groceries, do this with me for 1 second, okay? Tell yourself, I am so proud of myself. I am proud where I am right now in this moment. I deserve all the good things in life, and it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay not to be okay, and there's always another day to be great. Doesn't that feel better, Bessie? Yes, keep doing that, Bessie. You know what? Self-affirmative things I think helps a lot. Just to, sometimes we are too hard on ourselves. We criticize ourselves way too much that we don't appreciate the little things in the world, the things that we've done in our lives. And the thing though, Bessie, is like 5 years ago, imagine this. This is how I think of things. 5 years ago, I wish a lot of things. And actually, all of those things have been granted. But now, since 5 years ago too, I have had new things that I want in my life. But I think here in North America, where we live right now, we don't practice gratitude. We don't practice being proud of the things that we achieved and we prayed for long time ago because you achieved it, Bestie. And you should be proud, even small, medium, large achievements in life, right? Well, Bestie, I just want to make sure that you realize that and you believe in those things. So yeah, that's a good introduction, don't you think, you guys? So anyways, before we start to do me a quick favor, Bestie, make sure that you download this episode and all other episodes and make sure that you follow us and turn on notification on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It sounds like an ASMR for me. I mean, I don't have the best voice, you guys, but it just sounds so ASMR-y. I think it's the mic. But yeah, so follow us on Spotify and Apple and make sure that you share it and tag I beg your pardon on Instagram and me, of course. And Bessie, make sure that you leave us a 5-star on Apple too and Spotify. And also, if you are wondering what kind of brand of scrubs I wear whenever I teach as a nursing clinical instructor, it's Gardmala, baby. Always and forever. GARDE space MALADE. It's a Quebecois company that I support and love the most. And if you ever get yourself one, you can always use my discount code NurseJohn, only one N, GM. NURSEJOHNGM. Love you guys. And I know you guys are so excited to find out who is my guest for this week. This is one of the people who are very close to the trauma, to the struggles. And one of the people that I consider our siblings, nurses, that was separated at birth, but had the same fate in life, just like us nurses and even teachers. Well, guess what, guys? My guest today is a social worker. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I am doing good.
Doing amazing. Can you please introduce yourself? What is your name?
Of course. So, my name is Jackie.
Jackie.
I'm a social worker.
Oh my God, how's that?
Wow.
That's what we're going to be talking about.
That's what we're going to be talking about today.
Exactly. So, Jackie, tell us all about you, like who you are as a person before you become a social worker.
Of course. So, I am Jackie. I am a Filipina.
I'm
a Filipina.
Wait a second. You're a Filipina?
Excuse me? I beg your pardon.
Pardon.
Pardon me. I am. I'm a Filipina, born in Montreal, but Filipina. My parents are my dad's from Bicol. My mom is from Manila.
Oh my God.
But I am born here in a family of 4 siblings. So I am the middle child.
Oh
So
my God. I already have so much questions like running in through my head right now. But keep going. Keep going.
middle child of siblings of four.
Mm-hmm.
I have an older sister, two younger brothers. I'm also a wife.
Oh,
Been married for a year now.
congratulations to
Thank
us.
you.
Oh my, that's so sweet.
So married for a year and also a new mom. So I have,
Do you guys see her? She's achieving too many things at once.
you
But you
know,
know what? She deserves it for being a social worker, for being an amazing person, and being a Filipino in general. Anyway, so yeah, continue.
so I am a new mom. I have a almost 3 month old at home. Thank
Congratulations.
you.
And how does that feel?
Oh, wonderful. Honestly, everything that you hear about motherhood, that once your baby is born, it changes you. It does. It's a gift. It's
Right.
beautiful. And just what a baby does also to your marriage. It's beautiful to see how
Right.
our marriage has grown since we've had our baby.
Aw.
Seeing my husband being a dad, it's beautiful, honestly.
Right. Seeing your relationship grow in from being
Exactly.
two to now three.
Exactly.
And like, oh, that is so sweet. I mean,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
And I guess you're in maternity leave
I
from being a
am.
social worker.
I am. So
Good for you.
I'm on mat leave, enjoying the mat leave life, but missing the drama.
As a social worker, for sure. So, since you've already said my favorite word, drama, my first ever question to you is: you're a Filipino, a Filipina specifically. How the hell are you not a nurse? A nurse.
The question that everyone asks me, how did I
Exactly.
not become a nurse?
So, for anyone who doesn't know, most Filipino, 95% of us are nurses. No, it's I'm exaggerating here, but a lot of us, for some reason, when we immigrate to another country, we're just nurses. All of us. And every single hospital and every single unit in a hospital at least has one Filipino nurse in it.
Of course.
And what made you go to social work over nursing? Didn't Nanay and Tatay force you?
1,000%. I mean,
Ah!
was I forced? No.
No.
But definitely when the topic of, figuring out what I was going to be doing with my life,
Right.
the first suggestion was nursing.
You know what, Jackie? I don't understand why they do that.
But you know what? I have to say, it's probably because it's such a well-known profession.
Right.
So
Right.
it's
And I think it's also stemming from our culture because we're
Yes.
very hospitable. We're known to be
Absolutely.
hospitable. We're known to be, we care for people as much as we care for ourselves. Just like how we care for our family, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I came straight from the Philippines. I lived there for 17 years of my life. So I know the life and I know how we live in a compound. Everyone is together. Everyone shares the same food, the same, we share everything. And when we have foreigners, like Americans, Canadians, or whatever they're coming from, we always treat them like families.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they always come back to our country is because of how we treat them.
Yeah. Filipinos are just so hospitable, and I think that it just comes down to that. Nursing. If you think of nursing is a helping profession, and it just happens to be one of the more common helping professions. Being a doctor, because other than that,
Right?
it was either a doctor or a nurse,
Or an engineer.
or an engineer or a lawyer.
Right. But those other three profession needs money.
Exactly.
And nursing is the less expensive, even though it's still expensive in the Philippines for us to really do take. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, and people have asked me too anyways. They're like, John, so were you a nurse in the Philippines before you come here? Not really. Because I did college in the Philippines before I got here, before my mom take me. And while I was waiting for my immigration papers. And the thing is, I was taking mass communications because I wanted to go to TV or become a broadcaster or behind the cameras and stuff. Because I never really wanted to be a personality or something or nothing about nursing. But like I said, it all stems from my grandpa's sickness and then just, again, my mom working. She's a caregiver. She's been a nanny for 20 years. And, seeing her strive to bring me to where I am right now, I think impacted a lot of like how I wanted to do something in my life, and just like, you know what, nursing is the only thing.
Yeah.
But then if you realize it's social work too.
Yeah, there are so many helping professions.
Right.
That was for sure. When I was figuring out in after high school and college, what did I want to do?
Right.
I definitely knew I wanted to be in the helping profession.
Mm.
How, what, I had no idea. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it happened to be a fluke because
Oh, really?
I went to an open house at a college here in Montreal, and the first table that I happened to go to was the social service table.
Wow.
And I will always remember this day. And the lady that was there, the director of the program at the time, was like, "Are you that friend that everyone always calls, or are you that friend that is always listening to others?" And I was like, "Oh, is this
Wait,
me?"
I think I'm in the wrong profession because that's me.
And I swear I didn't even really know what social work was at that point.
Right.
And it was just the qualities that really spoke to me that I kept that pamphlet.
Mm-hmm.
I did the whole tour of the college. And at the end of the day, that first interaction really struck me.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept the pamphlet and I read it over and over again. And I was like, I'm not really sure what this is, but I'm feeling it. And
Right.
I remember calling my mom after the open
Right.
house. And I said, "Mom," she's like, "So what are you thinking?
Right.
Nursing?" And I said, "I think I'm going to go into social services." And she said, "What the heck is that?"
Oh my God, the first reaction, the most common reaction is like, what the hell? It's like, I want to be a comedian. What the hell?
She said, "What is that?" And I said, "To be honest, I don't really know, but I'm going to figure it out. And I think this is what I'm going to do."
Aw.
I did the DEC. So it's a DEC is the equivalent of a college program here in Quebec.
Quebec, yeah.
So it's a technical program that after the program, you could already be working as a technician in social work. So I did that program, fell in love with it. And I said, you know what?
Aw.
I have to continue. Did my bachelor's in social work. And
Right.
have now been a social worker for almost 8 years now.
Oh my God,
So,
congratulations. You're hitting a decade soon.
I'm almost hitting a decade.
Wow. So you must really love this
I love it
profession.
because I would have been gone. Because if you hate it,
I know, right?
go.
I know. Oh my God. So it was never really like a passion that you were like,
No.
you just wanted to go to a
Yes.
profession that is helping others.
Exactly. And through the programs, which is great, in the technical program at the DEC, you do 3 stages. So you had a lot of exposure to it. And it happened to be that by doing the studies, by doing the stages, I fell in love with the profession. And it is a passion now. It's
Right.
being a social worker is a part of me.
Listen, if you're in the profession for 8 years, I think you actually love,
I love it.
and this is a passion that you're doing. Because again, like I said, social workers are just like nurses and teachers. We go through so much
Yes.
and deal with so much trauma
Yeah.
that it becomes part of our life.
Yeah.
And we're so numb with it that the reaction is just like, okay, yeah, I've seen that
Exactly.
before. I've seen that before. Like there's not much of like a shock or something like that.
Exactly.
That's cool to know that, you got into something that you actually love.
Yes.
Because in contrary of like, Filipino being nurses,
Mm-hmm.
is the thing is like a lot of them were forced to go into nursing.
Exactly.
And I have heard many stories because, they reach out to me in my social media and they're like, John, I actually wanted to be a dance choreographer, but here I am as a nurse. And I was like, do both.
it.
I was like, dance in the unit, dance in the hallway or something.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's so fun. And it's so nice to know that you can go to any other careers as a Filipino. If you're a Filipino listening to this, you can be anything and
Please.
everything else.
Please be whoever you want to be, wherever you want to be. Take up your space. Filipinos are not only in nursing, we could be everywhere. And honestly, I did say that my mom had a surprised reaction when I first told her.
Right.
But now
She's probably the proudest.
she's the first one to say, "Jackie's a social worker. I'll give you her number and she'll help you with this." I'm like, "No,
Oh,
Mom.
mama. She's so cute. Oh my God.
It doesn't work that way. I will help when I can." But
Right.
but they are, I'm proud to say, I've exposed them to what the profession of social work is now. And both my parents, my family have a better awareness of what it is. And
That's amazing.
so it's great. So please, do what you want to do as long as you're happy, you know?
Right. Again, at the end of the day, every single profession, I think, has its own struggle. And the struggle is also, if you love this profession enough, no matter what the struggle is,
Yes,
you will get through it.
exactly.
But also setting boundaries and knowing your limits.
1,000%.
Right?
Boundaries,
Right.
boundaries, 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 boundaries.
I love that you repeat that because some people, some of my besties out here doesn't still know boundaries. I mean, I didn't know boundaries until like a year ago when I burned out from nursing. But then remember, guys, I keep repeating this in every single podcast episode: boundaries. Anyways, going
Yes.
back into your life, so you went into social work and you fell in love with it. Isn't the only
It's the only career I've ever had. So, I mean, other than being a working student and doing
right?
the retail life that I did as a working student.
Oh my god,
but
you went to retail too?
I was in retail. That's how I paid for my studies.
Me too, girl.
You know, I worked in retail. Probably spent too much money with your employee discount, but
I love it.
But this is the only career I've ever had.
I've worked in many retails because that's the only way for me to pay for my
Yeah.
bills and stuff. And I actually like working as a
really
student.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I really did.
Like the freedom of having money
Yes.
and not depending on your parents.
Yes.
Because, you know, our parents are always, oh, don't worry, we got you. We can keep you for like 40 years of your
Yeah.
life and type of thing. But
Yeah.
I needed that like security and independence of like, you know, I can make my own money and I
Exactly.
got this.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so social work. Wow, this is such a big word. I mean, like, I also did not know about social work until I worked in healthcare
Yeah.
and until I went to nursing school because they taught us how, like, social workers are your best friends. And they legit are our best friends because they are the people that I go to before I even discharge my patients. Because knowing a lot of things from them, I'm like, I just don't have the capacity and the ability and the connections to figure this out for you. Because usually when they're in the hospital, right, they will tell me all the things they have. The usual thing that happens is like, John, my wife took all my money and now my house is in my wife's name, but I bought it and this. I was like, okay, stop right there. I was like, this is not my... I was like, this is not my circus. So that is the first thing I do is like, toot, 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 toot. Hi, can I please be passed at a social worker working today? Yeah, one of my favorite social worker. I cannot mention her name, but I love her so much. That's a police right there. Do you guys hear the sirens? What's going? I hope we're not burning up in here. Hopefully. My fight or flight is just so like on the go every time since working in the ER. But anyways, going back to our conversation is that, you know, you guys, when it comes to like family problems, financial problems, all of this stuff,
Yes.
you guys are who we run to.
Yeah.
Can you give us a rundown of a usual day as a social worker?
So social work is quite broad, actually. So social
Right.
workers will be involved with people from the age of 0
Right.
to the end of life.
Right.
So really, it's the spectrum of life in all aspects of the world.
So it's almost like nursing.
Exactly. So you'll see social workers in different settings in the community, in hospitals.
Right.
Specifically, I do relate a lot to Nurse John because I am a hospital social worker as
Oh,
well.
you are. I should have asked that first. What kind of social worker are you?
Exactly. So I'm a hospital social worker. I did the beginning of my career in community at the CLSC. So that's locally here in Quebec.
Right. What's the LSE in English?
So it's the local community services.
Oh, right.
So that's like I guess what it would translate to. So it's really people within the services within the community. So
Right.
when I worked there, I was working in the home care department. So going into people's homes, and I still with an aging population. So
Right.
that's what I was doing. But now I am a hospital.
You're a hospital social worker. We're going to break this down little by little.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what? Let's go back to when you were working
Yes.
in the home care.
Yes.
Isn't that scary?
So home care, honestly, I it's one of the most thrilling, most
Oh
exciting,
my God.
but
Okay, girl.
also you could have
Mm-hmm.
the worst horror stories also because you're going into people's homes.
Right.
So I was working with the aging population or people in loss of autonomy because of different health
Yeah,
reasons.
right.
So we worked again with a team of multidisciplinary professionals, so nurses, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, doctors, and the social worker was one of them. So we would go in and kind of see what the situation was, evaluate what their needs are. Were there any home care services that were needed? Were there any other professionals that would be needed? And then
Right.
just providing, we were evaluating to see what the needs were of the clients that we
Mm-hmm.
have. So they were experiencing different types of loss of autonomy, whether it be cognitive loss of autonomy, physical loss of autonomy. So we were working with those clients, but often we were working with their caregivers, so their families
Okay, so they
as
have an
well.
existing caregiver at
Yes,
home.
it could be a spouse, it could be a child, it could be a family member, but it also could be, a private caregiver that was hired by the family or by the person themselves. So
Right.
depends. So we were working with whoever
Whoever
whoever's
is
there,
it is
or
there.
the person that is completely isolated as well, because that also happens. Someone that's in total.
That's super sad to me.
Yes.
And I've heard so many
Yes.
stories because,
Yes.
when people gets admitted in my unit before,
Yeah.
they're usually like found after like 3 days
Horrible.
because they fell down.
Exactly. And that's why, CLSCs or community services are so important for people that are isolated because they are the eyes. When people come to the hospital, you get a snapshot of what their life is, but
But never really the
yes,
big picture of it.
exactly. Going into the homes, you really see how they're living.
Right.
And
Have you ever been in a situation where you're just like, oh my God, this is a complete disaster?
yes, I've been to hoarded homes, bed bug homes,
God.
cockroach infested homes.
Girl, I cannot.
Um,
Oh my God.
Name it, I've been in it.
But you
Those
still, but
those
you
were
still,
not my favorite ones to go in.
oh, for sure.
Obviously, you
For sure.
you look like a Q-tip entering those homes with the gowning that you have to do, but you see the beautiful homes.
Oh yeah, the amazing homes, the big homes. You're like, oh my God, I could live here. You could hire me as your nanny, and I will take that money because you're probably gonna pay me better. But yeah, so going back to the homes are like a bit
Yes.
lesser than
Yes.
like the beautiful homes. Don't you feel scared coming in those rooms? Because like for example, me, like I don't, we don't let stranger just come in
Exactly.
to our place. But
Yes.
imagine you coming into a stranger's place and really you don't know. They could be someone who could have some mental illness and they're
Absolutely.
really like
Yes.
not in a good state, or someone
Exactly.
who's you've heard a lot of like
Absolutely.
stuff in the internet that makes you
Yes.
just like, oh my God, I am not doing this.
So it actually always makes me laugh. And again, maybe this is just me being unfazed, but in the rest of the world, I don't know how it works. But here in Canada, I was going to these homes with my notebook and a pen. Okay, there was no accompaniment by police officer.
nothing.
There were some exceptional situations,
Oh, okay.
but your regular day was entering this home by myself.
Unarmed.
Based on whatever I read on the paper.
So your weapon is
My
your pen,
weapon is
your
is
your
my
notebook.
notebook and my cell phone and my pen. But honestly, you just always have to be vigilant. And whenever you work in healthcare, no matter where you are, be vigilant.
Right.
If you are doing home care visits, home visits, always be mindful when entering the home. Look for the exits.
Good
Look for
good
the
tips.
exits. So
Good tips.
You're entering. Look for the exits,
Right.
and just you go with your gut feeling, and always try to be closest to the door as much as possible.
Right.
Obviously,
I would probably stay in like just in the front. I'm good here. I didn't have to sit on your couch.
I mean, that's always what you say when there are bed bugs.
I-
I've been sitting all day. No, thank you. It's
Like,
okay.
like, I'm good. I'm good here. Yeah, we gotta keep a distance 5
Yeah.
meters. I was like,
And keep moving your legs in case those critters try to crawl up your legs. But
ooh, I can just imagine it. Were you working in home care
Yeah.
during COVID?
yes,
Oh my God. Well,
Yes.
that's an interesting topic to talk about
Yes.
because during COVID, I think it's one of the hardest time for a lot of people,
Yes.
and mostly for those people who lost autonomy or isolated
horrible.
because most of us, even the
Mhm.
capable ones, were isolated. But
Yeah.
imagine those who are unable physically, mentally to be,
Yeah.
to be out of their homes but stuck in there for a while.
Exactly.
How did you dealt with that?
So it was a pretty scary, a pretty stressful time actually, just as a
Mm-hmm.
healthcare professional.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that time, the directives were changing, I swear, every 24 hours.
Thank you. Nobody understands how like you're like you are supposed to wash your hand for 5 seconds. Now it's actually 1 minute.
I mean, just to give you an idea of
Mm-hmm.
what it was, um, at the beginning of the pandemic, I'll never forget March, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
when the
Right. When
whole
it's like
when everyone decided that COVID was happening, we were all summoned to one room, and there were probably 200 people in that room. All of the professionals from the CLSC were in that room, and they were like, there is something that is coming. We don't know what it is, but be mindful. We were all there.
right, right.
1 week later, everyone must stay at their desks. Nobody can have
Oh
lunch together.
my
Nobody can.
god.
And then the next week, no, everyone's gonna work on alternate weeks, work from home, because I mean the directives were just all over the place.
It's hideous.
And just trying to keep up with that while doing your regular job, which was not a regular job at that point because you were just doing whatever the directives were. At some point, we were delivering, the social workers were delivering masks on a weekly basis in the homes.
Oh
You
my
know, I
god.
couldn't even spend time with the clients that I wanted to because we had to go. But mind you, people needed those masks too.
For
But
sure, for sure, for
but
sure.
we were doing deliveries of masks and deliveries of hand sanitizer, deliveries of all of these things.
Right.
And at the beginning of the pandemic, we were given one mask per day.
Oh my god.
This was
Please. And we had to wash it at some point.
so we were doing home visits. COVID broke out March 2020, which
Right.
means we went into the summer. So it was hot, okay?
Oof.
We were doing home visits. I was holding my mask like this driving. So I
Oh my god.
wouldn't get, eventually
Crazy.
eventually we got more masks. But just to
Mhm.
give you an idea of what it was, and when we were so concerned about the resources, we had one bottle of sanitizer and we could only get a new one if it was empty.
Are you
I would have to return an empty bottle of sanitizer to be able to get a new one.
are you hearing this, besties? And thank you for solidifying that because a lot of people don't believe
No.
the complaints we've been like, screaming out there since
Yes.
like 2020 because they're like, "Oh my god, you're exaggerating
No.
things. That's not how bad it is. You guys are well paid." I was like, "Please."
I mean,
Mm.
so
You know what I mean?
it was
like
it was a tough time, and all of that trying to figure out you're allowed to see your patients, you're not allowed to see your clients, you're allowed to go into the
Mhm.
house, you're not allowed to go into the house. If they have this, you wear your mask. If they don't have this, you wear your mask. So it was like,
Right.
what are is
And the thing is, like, another thing is in the hospital, sometimes, like, we've been taking care of the patient for like 6, 7 hours, and they're like, "Oh, that patient is actually COVID positive." Imagine you guys who doesn't have that directive and
Yes.
just like coming
Yes.
back from like the home visit, and you're like,
yes.
"Oh, your patient actually has a C. diff and a bunch of other things that you weren't
Exactly.
aware of."
You would hope you would get that communication from the hospital. But going into the homes too, it's prior to them being hospitalized or being tested at the time that it wasn't accessible. So you never knew
Right.
what people had.
So my question to that is, since you said that, like when they get back to their homes, usually they came from the hospital.
Yeah.
And that was dealt by a social worker, most likely.
Yes.
So what is your thought of
Yes.
that? Because since you're a social worker working from homes, you're basically catching whatever is left by the social worker from the hospital.
Yes.
What do you think is that? Let's say the situation is really like bad.
Yeah.
And thinking about it to yourself, you're just like, wait,
Yeah.
this is done. Like, if my colleague from the hospital has done their job properly,
Yeah.
this would never happen. Because we've had that situation, as nurses, like,
Yeah.
patients couldn't have been like this if the nurse taking care of this patient before
For sure.
just done their job.
There are certain things that carry over, but social workers in hospitals and social workers in the community have different roles because in terms of your follow up and when you're involved, it's different, right? When you work in the community, you will have to take on some of the things that are a little bit more long term because you're going to continue to follow.
Right.
In the hospitals, you're there for a very short period. short period of time.
Right,
I'm gonna
right,
put this in
right,
brackets.
right.
Short period of time. So it's different, but it is true. I mean, I would just hope that, again, to all my social workers out there, we have to work together.
Right.
It's a collaborative
I think that
effort.
that's it. That's it.
But if there are things that could be done on one side, we just have to help each other, because we're all working in this
We're all
together.
struggling. I love that. I love the answer because that answer also says that, like we're here to help each other.
Exactly.
That this is not you against me or me against you. It's more of like
It's
we're going to do this together
yeah.
against the problem, the
Yeah.
real
Yeah,
problem.
and it's all about continuity of care. That's all. I always say that. You know what?
Thank
Continuity
you.
of care is so important.
Right.
So there's no sense or no use in working in silos as professionals, as social workers.
Thank you.
I like working as a team is
the most
the
important
most
thing.
important. And,
Exactly.
And people don't see that, but it just you're backpedaling if you work in your corner. Work
Exactly.
with your colleagues. That's it.
Thank you so much because we also have this problem in nursing
Yes.
where they're like, oh my God, you're leaving me so much job. But this is a continuity of care.
Exactly.
This is like we always said, like nursing is 24/7.
Yeah, you know what? Today you have a lot of work. Tomorrow you have a lot of work. It goes around. It goes around.
Exactly. And I think like helping each other, the good karma comes back to you.
Exactly.
They don't
Karma.
help you, but at some point in your life, you know what? You're winning. You're winning and
Exactly.
you're getting more blessing. That's how I see it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I never refuse to help someone. And even though, let's say, they refuse to help me, I'm just like, you know what? Whatever, man.
Yeah.
I'm here to help. This is a helping job.
Yeah.
Again. So that's what we should be doing. So my next question is, was the switch from home care to hospital was because of COVID, or was it just I wanted to explore more of my like different avenues of this profession?
Yeah. Well, for myself, I've always wanted to work in a hospital. I mean, then again, I could be vain, but the Grey's Anatomy life, like, what is that? What is it? Is it really like that? But
Right.
the medical field always kind of intrigued me. So
Right.
when I had the opportunity, I did make that switch. It also was a timing in terms of really knowing who I wanted to be as a social worker. I felt like at some point, the timing with COVID and other factors, I felt like I wasn't doing the type of social work I wanted to be doing in
Right.
the community. And then I came to the hospital and I am loving it.
That's amazing.
But I will always say that I did love my job when I was working as a community social worker.
Absolutely.
And it helps you be more understanding of what happens on the other side.
Right. It grounds
I'm
you.
mindful, I'm
Right.
mindful of what dumping is to a community social worker. So,
Right. Right.
As much as possible, I try to give as much as information. And when there's a discharge, you should know this beforehand because, then you get surprises. And
Right.
you're like, you knew that information and you didn't tell me.
Right.
And here I am learning on the,
And I think also is that it's so nice because you came in from the mud. I would say you came in from the mud. So then when you got a better chance of like, in your profession, you understand what it is to be in that position. So you can never be really, like you said, you become more mindful. You don't judge the other, the other side of the profession. And you work better.
Exactly.
Just like for nurses, for us, what our nursing teachers would always say is like work as a PAB, like work as a CNA, because then you will understand that this is still part of your job as a nurse. And you should never forget that, that though like our profession, I'm pretty sure like social worker have other profession, sub-profession under them that used to be their part of their job. But since social work is now like has to focus on more prioritizing big jobs, they had to give those small little jobs to another sub-profession.
Yeah.
And for us, it's CNAs. But then, some nurses forget sometimes that cleaning patients, taking care of patients, and bathing them, brushing their hair was part of our profession before. And that we're not all medication and just like putting in like pads and everything.
Exactly.
And that's really nice to know. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, really good to know. And I guess for anyone who's listening right now who's a social worker, I hope you're learning a lot from Jackie. I love this. I love this, Jackie. Now, let's proceed to the questions that a bunch of people from social media ask towards you.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Oh my God. This is like hot seat type of thing.
Is this okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, guys, this is now the hot seat for our beautiful social worker, Jackie. You guys have asked her so many questions, and I literally took every single question that you guys wanted me to ask her, and she is going to answer this. Our first question, someone asked, how do you leave things at work, especially the heavy cases? Like, how do you disconnect work from life?
So, again, the magic word: boundaries, 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 boundaries. Okay. I mean, it's the most important thing. So, for me personally, I really try to physically separate myself from Jackie being at work and Jackie being at home.
So Jackie social worker
Yes.
and Jackie mom, Jackie wife, Jackie as herself is
Yes.
separate.
We try.
We try.
Easier said than done.
Right.
But when I leave at the end of the day, I tell myself I am leaving the building, and it could be visual. You visually imagining this too. I am leaving the building. I am leaving the cases in the building. I'm exiting. So I'm going home to be with my family, to be with my husband.
Love it.
It's a tomorrow problem.
As simple as that.
Simple as that. It does sound, maybe easier said than done.
Right.
But mentally thinking about it and physically separating yourself, I am leaving. And,
Right.
I make it a point that I try as much as possible to not do anything work related once I exit the building.
Exactly.
Because that could be so easy to continue and do all of these
Exactly.
things.
The stress just continues and continues, and it becomes a pattern, and then the pattern becomes a habit, and the
Exactly.
habit just like destroys you.
Yes.
And I think that's one thing also I've learned as a nurse is because the heavy cases, the heavy patient situation I have had to dealt with, some of them I carried them all the way home.
Yes.
Just because they're so, I don't know, like they're so emotionally like dragging.
Yeah.
And like the trauma is just in your head. It keeps replaying and replaying and replaying. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, how could have had this happen?
Yes.
Like in my care.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's
and it's
crazy.
in guilt.
Yeah. Guilt is real. And honestly, one of the first things also is even just acknowledging, you know what? This is a messed up case. This is beyond me. This is like Hollywood worthy. What is this? Just saying it, like it's normal. Like, if you're feeling some type of way, it's normal because it's a heavy case. You're seeing something that you've
Never seen before. Yeah.
If you think you've seen something, don't worry. Something's coming back to you. Like there's always something new. But really just one acknowledging. This is tough. Okay?
The acknowledgement part.
Don't try to minimize and say, you know what, it's really not that bad. It is bad, okay?
It is fucking.
So,
thank you.
Like if I'm having a day and I'm like, you know what, today's a tough day. I'm dealing with a tough family. I'm dealing with tough patients. They say it,
Right.
acknowledge
Verbalize it.
Verbalize it.
Like I am freaking angry
I'm
right
angry.
now.
Just say it. I'm so upset with the family. You know what? You try to be as professional as possible when you're in kind of. But the second you leave the unit, and I get to the department, I'm like, you know what? I'm so angry.
Like, F this shit.
You know what? I can't believe that
Right.
they told me that. I can't believe that this is what's going on.
Oh
right
my
now.
God, that's crazy.
So acknowledge it. Physically leave it behind and get some support.
Yeah, I think the support was
Yes.
the best
Yeah.
therapy medication I've ever had.
Yeah,
Like
support.
having like a supportive family and
Yes.
friends,
Yes.
outside of the job
Exactly.
really do help to kind of like get you out of that mindset.
Yeah.
The whole situation.
Exactly.
Do you have a support system?
I do. I have a wonderful support system. My husband is wonderful.
What does your husband do?
My husband works at a pharmacy.
Look at you. Look at you. Look at you dating a pharmacist. Okay.
He's not a pharmacist, but he works at a pharmacy.
Okay, he
Yeah.
works at a farm, but
Yeah.
still, you know what? You're dating a healthcare worker. That's still a healthcare
Yeah.
worker for me. Oh, that's amazing.
So-
And you guys been together for how long?
We've been together for 14 years, actually.
That is so
Yeah.
cute. Oh, I'm happy for you guys.
you,
And
thank you.
now you guys have a little baby.
We have a little one. Yeah.
Is it a boy or
It's a
girl?
boy,
What's the name?
Isaiah Miles.
That is the cutest. I love the name
Yes.
Isaiah. And that's cute.
Spider-Man,
That's really cute. That's really cute. Okay, well, going back to the next question, best and worst outcomes you have seen as a social worker.
There are a lot, but I think the best outcome is really when you see someone at their worst in really horrible living conditions or whether it be emotionally, mentally, or physically living in squalor. And
Yeah.
then you see them, you're able to journey with them until you're able to either find them a new home or
Oh.
either find a new placement for them. And then you see them thriving because they're in the environment that they need to be in. And you see them afterwards. It's the best feeling,
See,
you
we're
know?
so similar as like we us and nurses are so similar.
Yeah.
Like for us too, for me too, my best is like when my patient is so sick, I've seen them on the worst and then
Yeah.
they got back on their feet.
And then you see them and you're just like, you look great.
I
you
know, like
know?
you did that. Like, it was like you ate that whole 1 year of hospitalization.
Exactly.
Oh, that's amazing.
Worst outcomes, it's a little bit tough, but I mean, I think the worst outcomes is really one of the values of social work is the right to self determinations, which means
Ooh, yeah.
that sometimes people are gonna make bad decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and they're allowed to make bad decisions. So sometimes having to see them make bad decisions and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
respecting it is tough to watch. You know, when you see them making a choice for
That you're just like you already know you're gonna get into like a lot of trouble
yeah,
or like
or
it's
I'll
gonna
see you here in a week.
2 week.
I'll see you back here. But it's
Right.
always tough, you know, knowing
Right.
discharging a patient or seeing someone go, knowing that they're probably not making a good decision. But you also
Or they're
want,
just not gonna make it in the community, and you know that in the next 5 days you're gonna get them back into the same
Yes.
circle of crap again.
yes, but they have the right to self determination. So
Mhm.
let
Mhm.
them do it, and then you come back, and you would hope that when they come
You
back,
can change them
you
at some point.
they will
Change.
they will want to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's us doing nursing. It's just like, you know what? If you refuse your medication, if you want to
Yeah.
get out of the hospital, go for it.
Yeah.
It's your life.
Yeah.
It's your health.
Yeah.
And we'll meet tomorrow
Exactly.
when you're back.
Exactly.
When you're back. Oh. Next thing is, what is the best way an occupational therapist can support a social work? This is cute because it's coming
This
from a
is
social.
cute.
This is coming from another healthcare worker who you
Yes.
work hand in hand. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure because
We
whenever I
do.
call my social worker,
You
my
call the OT.
I was like, OT, SW, come on in, join the ride, join the fun.
Exactly. Well, shout out to all the OTs out there. I do love OTs. OTs are also
They're amazing.
amazing. The profession is so vast. So I don't know where this person works, but
Right.
specifically for hospital social workers, I mean, often we do focus a lot on discharge planning. So an occupational therapist, we work again hand in hand.
Right.
Nursing,
Always.
we all help each other to kind of get that big picture of who is this person, who is this patient.
And how can we maximize the help
Exactly.
they need so that they can
Exactly.
thrive outside of the hospital?
Exactly. How could we optimize, this
Right.
person so that they're really living
Mhm.
in their best capacity, functionally, socially, medically as well. So, an occupational therapist is, I mean, my advice is really just work with your social worker,
Yeah.
and do your assessment jointly. Again, don't work in silos. What information do you need, or do we go in together?
Right.
if
The
it's-
proper communication so that we
Exactly.
can actually work together because I think like you said, like there's nothing better than
Yeah.
if we did every single step together.
In a perfect world, we would. I mean, unfortunately,
I know
that's not-
it's really hard because we're short staff in this and short staff in that.
Exactly.
And then someone has to do more. But just
Yeah.
like marriage, right? It's
Yeah.
never 50-50. It's like 90-10 some days. Some days it's like 40-80. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it's understanding and really communication is the key.
exactly,
I think.
I agree.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys, this is a lot of Don't you guys think that Jackie sounds like a therapist? I feel like she's been through a lot. And if she's my social worker when I'm old and grumpy and stuff, I think I will be happy. I will be happy. Please come back to home visit when I'm old and please take care of me. I'm kidding. Next. What is the worst doctor's mistreatment you've ever witnessed or involved in? You guys are crazy for these questions. Have you ever been mistreated since you work in a hospital now? I mean, us nurses, I can tell you a lot, baby.
Mistreatment is real. Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't, but it happens on all levels. Whether it be from the patients themselves, from family members, from other colleagues,
Right.
from other professions. Worst mistreatment specifically from a doctor. I think to me the biggest mistreatment is just totally disregarding the profession.
Right.
I think that's what it would.
Period.
That's what it would be.
Right.
You know,
It's like they feel superior.
yeah. And you know what? I really hope that there's going to be a switch in the future of healthcare when it comes to this. I
Mhm.
have to say the team I work with is wonderful. It is really the doctors work quite hand in hand with the
Right.
team. But sometimes, the total disregard. It's a clearly social case.
Exactly.
It's clearly social. I will never disrespect you and say, "Oh, that's medical," and let it go.
I know,
So
because at the end of the day, they will find you because they cannot
exactly.
figure it out.
So it's just like, you know what? No, it's really not a big deal. Or being told that I was making the case worse than it actually is.
That's really, really
Yeah.
irritating.
Yeah.
And like I said, like as I was shamed by a doctor at some point for advocating for my
Exactly.
patient. And I'm like, excuse me, I am here because
Yeah.
this is my patient. And the reason why you know informations about this patient is because that information came from me.
Yes.
Because I'm the
exactly.
24/7 person who's been
Yes.
seeing this person. So I was like, why feel like you know more? Like
Mhm.
we have a total complete different profession,
Exactly.
and maybe you repair, but my healing hands, baby,
Exactly.
don't disregard that, because
Exactly.
without that, I don't think you can stay with a patient for 24/7 type of thing. And again, I'm not saying that all doctors does this, but like, those cases of professionals who think that they are superior over the others, and it's not like we're all equal here because we're a multi-professional disciplinary team.
Mhm.
It's mind-boggling.
Exactly.
Like, how are you in the profession for less than like 5 years and you already feel like you are better than everyone else?
Exactly.
Or like you've been in it for 30 years and you
Yeah.
feel like, well, because of my experience, I know better than you do.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
know what? Leave the social things to the social. I leave the medical things to you, and it's okay. You know,
Period.
if I'm worried, it's because I'm worried. You know,
Exactly, because I've seen this before.
I'm worried, and I mean it's a difficulty working in hospitals too because it's a hospital, right? It's not a refuge. But when there's a situation that's concerning and all they care about is discharges, and you're trying to advocate to say, literally, this person is going home to nothing. Okay,
Talk about that more, because I feel hot, because like, my worst freaking fear and my ick about some doctors is that where they go to the patient's room and they tell the patient you're discharged. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then the patient comes into you, they're like, yeah, I'm packing. I was like, packing where? Well, my doctor told me I'm supposed to what?
yeah, and your
Leave.
is your medication prepared?
I was
Are
like-
your CLSC services resumed? Do you have everything you need? Will someone come pick up the patient? Because
Did the social worker prepare your bathroom so that you don't fall again?
like
Oh
is
my
everything
Lord.
ready?
This
Does the
is
family member know they're coming home?
Thank you
I'm sorry.
so
Do they
much.
have shoes?
Okay,
Okay, because sometimes
where
they
the fuck
don't-
is their wallet? The wallet that they brought here in the hospital that's still
the
missing.
red jacket is missing. You know.
I love. Oh my god, we could talk forever, Jackie. Oh my god. See, the frustration is coming out, Jackie. I needed to fan myself because I'm getting hot in here. You feel me so
I
much.
feel you. I
It's
feel you.
crazy.
Of course.
And again, we're not shitting on doctors.
No.
I have loved and loved so many
Yes.
doctors, but those cases of, and again, there's always going to be bad people and good people, but it's just that if it crosses your path, you're fucked because you have to deal with it type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Next, what is the most unhinged patient interaction you have? I love this because it's like so nursing. Like, I can answer that for you guys. I can answer that.
Unhinged. I mean, I've had a lot of unhinged family dynamics. Those have been exciting.
Oh my god, a tea. Oof.
When you're having a family meeting and you're discussing what the future of this patient will be, are they going to continue to be able to live at home? Are we going to be considering going into long-term care? And then the siblings don't agree,
Oh Lord,
or they're
yeah.
completely disregarding the patient. I mean, I've had screaming matches in the hospital conference room.
And you're just like, I'm just here to do my job.
I mean, they were literally standing up on top of chairs,
Oh
of
Lordy.
tables, and insulting each other. You have to physically separate people from literally fighting when the patient is right there. You know, like
The
asking,
patient is just like intubated and just like,
"How
uh,
about you?" Yeah.
it's like, oh.
There's been a
Yeah.
lot of unhinged.
It's just so like similar to. I mean, you work in a hospital, so you know
I
it's so
mean,
similar.
I have I been hit before? Yes. I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, there's all these things. Is it okay? It's not okay. But I do work with a geriatric population, so you know,
Oh,
people try. So
Jerry.
people trying to escape the unit. You know,
Many times.
many times. You know, literally.
You've seen some stuff
I've
too,
seen.
and people cannot confirm this better because they're like, John, is Mr. Smith for real?
You know what? I laugh at Mr. Smith because I've had a Mrs. Smith. Okay.
They, do you hear that? She got the wife of Mr. Smith.
I've had a Mrs. Smith who literally climbed the toilet and then pushed the ceiling and tried to climb the ceiling and fell on her head. But
Oh
there,
my lordy
but-
Christ!
but there are people who try to climb.
I know,
They're
and people don't understand that
It's
like
real.
geriatric patients are the strongest They're stronger than you ever think.
We've had people throw chairs.
Oh.
You know, they're like Superman. You know, when they want to do something, they've got it.
They will.
They will.
Not even dementia or delirium can stop them.
No, absolutely not.
The-
Absolutely not.
That's crazy. Next, do you ever wish or think of changing to another career? This is a good question because people have been asking me today, like, John, if you hate nursing so much, then why don't you go to another profession? Because I was like, I don't hate this profession.
Exactly.
It's the condition, baby.
Absolutely. I agree.
So for you,
I agree. You know, I love social work. Working in the public sector makes it hard. You know, the conditions that you're working in, the pressures that you're getting from different levels makes it difficult at times. So is it that I hate sometimes? Yes. But again, it comes back to if you love your job, you kind of just push through and you're like, you know what?
thank you.
The profession's evolving. But it doesn't mean that, you don't hate it some days.
Exactly. I
know?
think we've all hated our job
Exactly.
at some point. But really, it's the passion that you have towards it, the love, the heart that you have towards it.
And you know what? You have to complain or you have to vent to let out steam.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
not
you.
always going to be rainbows and butterflies.
Right. If
So-
patient can complain, why can't
exactly.
I? If they can tell me like, I don't like the social worker, well, I don't like you too.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's
that's so
crazy.
funny. Next, what do you wish? Oh, I like this question. What do you wish nurses would know or do to make your job easier? Yes, what do you want us nurses to do? Because I know, like,
Yeah.
my social worker in my unit, she's straight up. She's like, you guys suck at giving me information.
Okay.
Give me better.
I will say this again, context, hospital social worker. Having a patient or a client's social history, again, I'm not telling you to go into the whole life history. You can tell me where they live and who they live with. I mean, sometimes it's just basic. Who does the person, do they live alone? Oh, I'm not sure. Where do they live?
Right.
It
So,
matters.
I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'm like this at some point. Listen, sometimes it's just a tiredness. I'm just like, oh my God, I didn't even have a chance to do that. But yeah,
It makes a difference if a person is totally isolated or they're living with a
with
network.
someone.
Or, someone that has a 24/7 caregiver paid for around the clock versus someone that's living alone. It makes a big difference.
Right.
So,
Because then that's how you guys are going to evaluate the help you're going to give,
exactly.
right?
And risk factors, right? That's amazing.
Did you want us to give you more information about the whole shebang, or do you
But you
just want like straight facts? Like,
It depends what the case is.
right.
Sometimes the families and the patients will give the nurse all of the tea. And then I'm like, you know what? That's why I love the nurses. Because then it's like, I'm not on the unit in every single room 24/7.
Man, I love giving tea to social workers.
Yeah, it's like, what happened last night? They did what? Okay, thank you. That's very good to know. Or the family member visited and this happened.
And to preface this, we're not okay, we love drama, okay? But we don't just love it because we love, I mean, we do love it, okay? But the thing is, it helps us really plan and do things. Like if I
Exactly.
tell you like Mr. Smith actually punches me in the thing and like starts screaming at me, you know that you're going to need some type of like I don't know, camera in the house or some type of like security for anyone who's going to that house because he can do that to someone, right?
Exactly.
And it's not like just gossips, it's help.
Yeah.
It's helping.
Exactly. If a patient is violent, you want to know that information because I'm going to be a little bit more mindful when I'm meeting this patient.
Thank you.
And also, if they're going back home, I'm sorry, the people that are going to come and visit this person should know that information as well.
Thank you.
You know, like, why are you gatekeeping the information?
Keyword gatekeeping. Let's not gatekeep any
Don't
information,
gatekeep.
you guys. I love it. Next, how do you prevent yourself from getting attached from a case?
Oh,
Deep, baby.
This
Deep.
is deep. I mean, you know what? We are all humans. There are some cases that I will forever hold in my heart and I will remember them forever. And it's just, again, knowing what your boundary is, but it doesn't mean that you don't feel attached to them.
Yeah.
We feel, I mean,
Because you're human.
you're human. You know, you meet them and you learn about what their life was like. And when they leave, you're practically crying because you're like,
I wish I could have done more,
you
but like
know.
this is the only thing I have.
exactly. But I mean, I think it's really knowing what your role is and setting that boundary as well. What am I here to do? Reminding yourself, what am I here to do? And where is my limitation? Is your way of, setting that boundary.
I love it.
Again, doesn't mean that you don't feel. It's just knowing where you stand.
Like you can feel all the feelings.
Of course.
But it's just that when do you put that end on that feeling? When it's getting too much?
Well, I think it's knowing where you draw the line. When am I no longer acting as a healthcare professional and I'm acting as a friend or as if I were a family member?
Oh my God, it happens so much to
and
me.
And it's so easy. It's so easy.
So easy.
Because you're again, we're in the helping profession. We're in it because we wanted to help people.
Thank you.
So sometimes when you're at the point when you're, you know what, I want to do so much more for you, but actually I'm bordering on unethical if I
right. Like sometimes you're just like, wait, is this still part of my thing
this-
or am I
and
doing
you know
this
what?
as a friend?
you will do things above and beyond. And that's okay. But sometimes it's,
You gotta put like a
you set a boundary, Are you
Love it.
buying a patient lunch every
day or
know,
is it just a one-time thing?
it's but it's setting that boundary, knowing where it lies. And again, if you're not sure, talk to your colleagues. Like
Right.
sometimes you just need to be
Transparent, I think.
and speak to someone you trust in your workplace or wherever you find your support. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a reflection. Am I really doing too much? Have I been too invested in this case?
Right, and someone will tell
And someone
you.
will tell you, like the good people will tell you.
Right, the people that you trust. It has to be the people that you trust, you guys, because not
Yeah.
everyone
No.
is your friend and not everyone has to know every single information in your life.
There's certain people that if they find out what you did, they're gonna take it the other way.
Exactly.
But someone you trust and be like, you know what would you have done in that situation?
Right.
And then
Oh,
sometimes just having that sounding board is key.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Next question. How do you identify if someone actually needs help or if they're just taking advantage of the service? I can answer this for you, but like you answer this for them.
You know
This is
what?
your question.
I always give people the benefit of the doubt.
Me too, but like
But at some point,
sometimes you're just like, I know.
when you're playing me, I know you're playing me. And
Oh my God.
the difference is, there are people who understand what criterias are
I know because they've been in it.
because they've been in it. And there are people who also shop around.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sorry, the healthcare system is quite small. So when you start to shop around, we know.
Right.
We know. And whenever a person needs something, I'm more than happy to identify that there's a need. But if you're abusing the system, you're abusing the system. And I will have no chill to be like, sorry, you're on the wait list. Or sorry, I can't sign you up this time. Or,
Right.
you know
right.
what, I'll give you another resource. But
And
if you're
people
not
gotta
happy-
understand this that like because some people will literally make it make sense in their head like, oh, I'm paying my taxes, the reason why you're getting paid is my taxes, so I deserve all of this. No, because there are priorities majority people
Yes.
who actually needs help and who actually
Exactly.
need those resources more than you do.
Yes. And there are when you've received the same resources over and over again, at some point we rotate.
Right.
Other people
Like,
deserve to
babe,
be signed up to the program, or
right.
someone else deserves that check, that financial help that you could get. Like
Exactly,
you know.
exactly. At some point, if you're getting help, your life should be improving. If it's the same state
Yes.
and status again and
Yes.
over and over and over again, and you're just literally just riding the boat just to ride, baby, there's an end to it.
And that's your choice, and you made that choice. Okay, you
Thank
made
you.
that choice, and
Thank you.
you
Go-
made your bed.
Goodbye. Goodbye. You lost the bet. Next, how wait, how here. Next question. How can other healthcare workers make social worker repeat? How can other healthcare workers make social workers feel more integral to the team as you guys play a huge role in the system?
I think it's really about stepping your ground and taking up space. Those who have worked with me know that I'm a very vocal social worker.
Period.
But when you're sitting in a room with other professionals, make yourself known. You are the social worker. Here we are. We are here for this. Try as much. Again, communication is key. Try to work together. I'm really big with team building, or really trying to make connections with
I love you, Jackie.
with your colleagues, because that's how you become an integral part of the team. Try to find out what does your other colleague do. What do the doctors do? What do the occupational therapists do? Know that there's value in what everyone else is doing just as much as yours. So
Exactly.
in order to be a team player, you need to know what other people do.
Right. Like to be a leader, you need to be a good follower, and to be a good
Yes.
follower, you need
Exactly.
you're gonna be a good leader if you are.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
And you know what? When you're a social worker, it's really easy to just fade in the background, because it's hospitals, at least, it's a very medical world.
It
So
is.
it's easy for your social work opinion to be
Pushed away.
So stand your ground. You're a social worker for a reason. Trust your gut, and make your professional opinion known.
But I don't know, because for me, honestly, I consider you guys handling cases medical too. Because honestly, you guys, though you deal with a lot of like social stuff,
Yes.
man, you guys sit down on that room with us every single freaking morning and hear every
All
single
of it.
fucking story, and the diagnosis, medical terms. So I
Yes.
don't, baby, you guys are more qualified to be in the hospital like everyone else, because literally I remember those days when they just sit there and they know. My social worker is like, yeah, we had this patient with Guillain-Barré syndrome, and I was like, girl, I'm pretty sure I've never even heard of that, and you're telling me that, and she explains it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like you guys really play a huge part in the system, because without you, I don't think we're gonna be able to function. That's something I fully and really believe so, because I already have a lot of my own life and shit situation, and dealing with my patient, and imagine like I have to do with their social stuff too.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's nice to hear. It's refreshing to hear. I mean, social work is so vast, but that other professions recognize it. It's just as important.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Next question. It's, what is your main concern when it comes to homelessness?
Wow, this is like a Miss Universe question.
Oh, all right, like, hi. I do believe that our children is our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
My main concern, in terms of, but in all seriousness,
I know, right?
It's a big question, but my main concern is that there's a lack of resources, funding. Because in order to solve homelessness, there needs to be resources, there needs to be funding to have the proper care that the homeless population needs.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a very complex
Problem.
social problem. I mean, that plays on many levels, and you're talking about, a person's social background, a person's, mental health issues, but also in order to help them, you need to have the resources and the funding.
Right. And it's not up to us, healthcare workers, to fix the big problem.
Oh, yes. And when doctors think that someone comes in homeless and the social worker is going to make them non homeless when they exit the hospital, sorry, it's not always realistic.
I love you, Jackie,
You
because you're
know?
just spitting facts and facts
Because,
on facts.
I mean, I'm not going to solve homelessness
Right.
in one admission.
Like, blame your governors, blame your government, not us. Like, don't put, like, they put it on us.
You mean they don't have somewhere to go back to? You mean they came in without a home?
You
Now
mean,
I'm gonna find them a home.
like, you mean you're a social worker and you cannot buy me a house?
I
And,
mean, I'm sorry, my back pocket, my back pocket. You know,
like, I'm sorry, but like, aren't you not supposed to fix my financial issues
Oh.
and bring back $1 million in my bank?
you know what? Like I've been in debt for 65 years. Social worker, consult, financial problems. Oh wow,
Like,
I have that power.
yes, let me just take some 50 million in my pocket here that I get paid for every single month and give it to someone.
So don't feel guilty that you're not going to solve the social problem that's been
Right.
there for decades, or the marital problems that have been there,
Ooh.
or the family problems that have been there for years.
Oh,
We're not going to fix them. We
No.
can try to mitigate them, but you're not going to fix them.
it's really crazy. Oh my god. You guys, we're just venting to each other in here. I know the healthcare workers listening to this, the nutritionists, the occupational therapists, even the teachers, the nurses, everyone. I know you guys are giggling and laughing and agreeing and screaming with us because, baby, this is so relatable. Oh my god. Next. Okay, 2 more questions because you guys have asked her, like you bombarded her with so much questions, okay? We could sit here forever, Jackie. Oh my God. Okay, 2 more questions. Let me just pick in here. Okay, 3 more because I want to ask this question. Do you guys hate us nurses?
No, I mean, again, I won't speak for all social workers, but I love nurses. I mean, the nurses I work with, no, I love you guys so very much. And I always say the nurses, the PBs are our eyes. You know,
Exactly.
When I work with my, when we're any type of situation to be teaching, I say your best friend is the nurse,
Right.
the PAB. Because if you want to know what happened, they're gonna tell you. Ain't
They-
nobody else is gonna tell you.
We're the tea. We carry the tea
From-
and you guys drink it.
You know, day shift, night shift, they're gonna tell you everything. No
I
one
know.
else has all of it. You know,
Mhm.
You
It's
have-
so crazy. And I like it when you guys sit down on our nursing unit and just like read our freaking notes.
yes, yes.
I was like, I remember a social worker, he's literally drinking his coffee like, I was like,
we read them all. You know, all of your notes.
the
What
detailed.
happened, the details. Oh, okay. So you know what?
I love it. I
Progress
love
notes are important.
it. I know, it's so important. You get chart, baby, chart.
Your
If-
charting will protect you, although
I know. I know.
it's tough, but
It's tough, but remember, guys, if it's not documented, it never happened.
exactly.
Thank you. Put everything down,
Yes,
baby.
yes.
Even the smallest bit. Sorry. There's another one. Someone's like, "Are you okay, girl? I know you've seen some stuff."
Am I okay? I am okay. I am on mat leave, so I have to say right now I am
Definitely
living
the
my best life. But you know what? It's not to say that there have been some tough moments. It's not to say that I haven't cried at work. It's
Right.
nothing to say that you do see it. But again, get the support. And if you don't get the support in the formal ways that you're supposed to get it, look for it. If it means your colleagues, if it means your family, get it. Because if you're not okay, you know,
It's really going
Yeah.
to drag you down.
exactly.
And lastly, how do you help BIPOC clients that may have higher disadvantages in our society?
First one is really acknowledging, that there is a disadvantage for BIPOC people. Being a person of color myself, it's important that you raise that,
Right.
when you're doing your assessments, to really know in what ways could this person's social background be a disadvantage for them, or in what ways will they not be able to have their medical follow-ups once they go home? What are the barriers? So actually recognizing what challenges could be for BIPOC people. So I think it's really being vocal about it
Exactly.
and raising it, because again,
And not denying the fact that it exists.
it exists.
And like, oh my God, you're exaggerating. That's too much of a new thing that just happened. No, because You have to be a people of color to know what kind of discrimination, disadvantages that we
Yes.
go through
Hmm.
and we have to deal with. And it's always pushed aside. Like,
I think one of the big things, at least in Montreal or in Quebec for BIPOC populations, or think of it, immigrant populations, is really when you're accessing medical care,
mhm,
understanding what is actually going on. Because any regular person, when you're talking in medical lingo, you don't understand. When you
right,
add the barrier of language and they don't understand what's going on, then I'm sorry, we have to figure out a way that they understand. So
right.
whether it's finding a family member that's going to be there, a translator, or if we become the translator ourselves, like whatever it is, like they need to understand and they deserve to understand what's going on.
It's
Be
their
accessible.
health, it's their life.
Yes.
They need to. And I have dealt with this. I mean, like talking for us Montrealers or Quebec, in general, is
Mhm.
that I think the biggest kind of discrimination for like immigrants is like when French professional thinks that if you cannot speak my language, which
Mhm.
is French, then you are not getting the care that you need. Because I have seen
Mhm.
so many times where like the patient cannot speak English, they only speak, let's say, Hindu
Mhm.
or Arabic, they will still explain things in French as if I'm like, you're speaking on the wind because they would never understand what's
Exactly.
going on, and it's going to be passed on me because they're like, what the fuck did the doctor said?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's like with healthcare, you want it to be accessible, and that's
Right.
just a reality you have to look at.
Well, look, Jackie, we could talk so much more. I mean, like, I love talking to like my healthcare worker people because, you know what, we could talk forever and there's always something that we can talk about.
I know.
There's just a lot going on and I feel so much better. I feel like we just unloaded traumas and
I
just like it's
know.
like small things, but then it bothers you, but then you're like, oh, no one's gonna understand it. And then someone actually sitting down with me and just like confirm that I'm not crazy
I
and
know.
all my experiences are valid.
They are valid.
Oh God. And I like how gentle you are.
That's what I always tell people. You know what? You
Right.
gotta be zen, because if you let it, it's gonna eat you.
You look at things very positively. That's how I like sense it. And I think it's a good
Yeah.
thing. And I have had in the past look at things more negatively just because I think like I guess this is how it's going to be, but then going to
Mm.
therapy, learning things that hey, if you look at things more positively,
Yeah.
but at the same time recognizing that it's okay to feel that way, that your feelings are valid, that all your experiences is true and you're not a weirdo or you're not the only one experiencing it,
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel so much better,
For sure.
mentally, physically, and like spiritually and all the
Yeah.
least. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, Jackie, unfortunately, this is the end of our episode.
Yes.
But before we end this episode, I just want to ask you, for all the listeners right now, if you're a future social worker, a social worker, a retired social worker, or a healthcare worker in general, can you give them a Miss Universe answer or a goodbye so that they can take home that information to them based off your experience as a social worker for 8 years and all the things that you've gone through?
Yeah. So for my fellow social workers, for my fellow healthcare workers, it's gonna be tough sometimes, and that's okay. If you love it, keep pushing through. Look for the support wherever you could find it, even if it's not in your typical ways. And realize at the end of the day, we're all human. So be gentle to yourself. Don't take everything on your shoulders, because you're only one person in a big system. So, you know what? Do what you can. And at the end of the day, tomorrow is a new day. So,
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Listen, Jackie, I'm so thankful to you that you accepted this, opportunity to be here. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that I'm sitting next to you because I praise every single social worker because the work that you guys do really makes a lot of difference to lives. But I don't think our society would function without social workers. I think your job is such an important role in the healthcare system. I mean, we can give them medication, we can tell them all of these things, but you guys prepare them Like you guys equip them with the weapons they need
Mm-hmm.
so that they can thrive outside of the hospital or in their homes. And it's just, it amazed me how you guys have this resource. I mean, not enough resources, but there's resources and connections. And really, I hate making phone calls. I hate reading a lot of things. I hate all the things a social worker is doing. But I am so like, bow down and on my knees for what you guys do. So thank you so much for all the social worker. And you guys have to realize how important your role is, and that just like what Jackie said, take up your space because you deserve to be part of the multidisciplinary team, to be in the hospital, to be in home base or anything. You guys deserve what you work hard for and where you at in life. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. And I hope you guys have learned a lot from Jackie because, oh my God, I was just telling her off the camera, she speaks so well. And I feel like she gave me a good therapy session. Just like that. She helped me. She's a real social worker, you guys. She's the real one. So again, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. And do me a quick favor again before you end listening to this. Make sure that you download this episode and all other episodes that you haven't listened to. Make sure you follow us and turn on notification on Apple and Spotify podcasts. And make sure that you leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. And again, thank you so much, Bessie. I hope you're doing well. I hope you learned a lot. And make sure you keep those boundaries. You love yourself, self-affirmation every single day, and believe in yourself. And again, one last thing. Make sure that your glass is full. Your wine glass is full before you share it to anybody else. Because if it's not, you should not be sharing it to anyone else. I love you so much, Bestie. And I will see you again next week. Bye. Oh my God, Jackie. That was perfect. I love this episode so much. I love this episode. You did so well. Oh my God, you're amazing, Jackie.
Thank you.